We have Gregg Jarrett, Fox News legal analyst, number one author of the Russia hoax. David Schoen, civil liberties attorney, criminal rights attorney. Let me start with this news about, Michael Cohen pled guilty to something that many are saying not a crime. Gregg Jarrett, Comey admits decision to send FBI agents to interview Flynn was not standard because they literally, they said, oh, you don't need a lawyer. So why wouldn't he think that this is something to do about nothing? And Comey's now boasting about pretty much setting up General Flynn. I mean, this is how we treat 33-year vets. And, of course, the IG coming out, how the Justice Department destroyed texts of Strzok and Page on their iPhones after Mueller's office decided, they weren't relevant. So we'll send them back. We're not going to save them. Sounds like Hillary Clinton redux here.
You know, this was a setup of Michael Flynn, and James Comey's now admitting it and saying, oh, I wouldn't have gotten away with it in a more organized administration. Bear in mind, the interview of Flynn happened 3 days after Trump was sworn in. So, you know, that's a lie by Comey that's the reason why he did not follow standard practice. And it comes after dozens of lies by James Comey. Comey ordered the interview of Flynn under the pretext of the Logan Act. Did Comey come up with that himself? No. As I point out in my book, The Russia Hoax, it was Sally Yates who, together with Comey, they both decided, let's send somebody in. McCabe gets on the phone to Flynn and says, we want to drop by and have a chat. You don't need a lawyer, said McCabe. So McCabe was in on setting up Michael Flynn. And now the federal judge, Emmett G. Sullivan, is on to this. And he's demanding that by 3 o'clock tomorrow, the special counsel, Robert Mueller, hand over all of these government documents and memorandum related to Flynn's questioning that fateful day, January 24th, 2017. And the judge wants to get an explanation for what was really going on, because it's pretty clear that Mueller didn't hand over exculpatory evidence and that the FBI and Sally Yates set up Flynn.
Well, I got to tell you, let's go over, explain in detail exactly what Comey is saying here.
Well, try to figure out Comey's mindset. He can't keep track of the different stories, which is a standard profile of a prodigious liar. So Comey is essentially saying, well, yeah, we sent him over. He's got to say that now because he's caught. He knows these documents show that it was Comey who ordered them sent over. But as I say, Sally Yates ordered Comey to order the agents to go on over there. And, none of this information, the 302 documents that exculpated Michael Flynn were actually ever turned over to Flynn or his lawyers. And Sullivan has ordered that be turned over as well. And now,
by the way, the judge is the presiding judge in this case, who is now requested directing the special counsel's office to file with the court any 302s or memorandum relevant to Flynn's interview. I wonder if he's going to discharge the whole thing.
He could, especially if he determines that 302, which is dated 7 months after the FBI interview of Flynn, was doctored, which, by the way, would be obstruction of justice by whomever at the FBI who doctored it. Now, look, in a 302, there are always 3 dates: date of the interview, date of the drafting of the 302, and the date of the supervisor's approval. That's usually about a month period of time. 7 months? What's going on here? It looks to me like the FBI phonied up some documents after the fact, and I think the judge is onto this and wants an explanation.
Oh, David, the idea that James Comey comes out and says, I probably wouldn't have gotten away with this in a more organized investigation and a more organized administration in the Bush administration, for example, or the Obama administration. So if the FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official, you would work through the White House counsel. There'd be discussions and approvals who would on who would be there, and I thought it's early enough. Let's just send a couple of guys over. And then, but they're telling him not to have a lawyer present. You don't need one. I mean, now that the judge is asking for these 302s and the information, U.S. District Judge Emmett Sullivan, I'm thinking, they just, why would they do this to an American hero? Why would they ever do that?
Yeah, it's really unbelievable. It just shows you there's no boundaries. There are no boundaries. Listen, this Judge Emmett Sullivan is one of the best in the business. He's the judge from the Ted Stevens case who finally forced their hand to show the withholding of Brady exculpatory information. In that case, he's not going to let up, one would hope. But he's the kind who's not going to let up. Comey should have taken your advice a long time ago. You asked on this show many times, if you were Comey's lawyer, would you allow Comey to be talking publicly, going on a book tour? The more he opens his mouth, the more arrogant, egocentric, and incompetent he clearly demonstrates that he is. It's unbelievable that this went on at the FBI for so long, and not just that. This corrupt motive, all the things that he did with Daniel Richman, with an agenda that's not befitting the director of an FBI. It's unbelievable.
It is beyond unbelievable. I mean, you basically have a former FBI director boasting about setting up a 33-year veteran. And still, on top of it, the information that led him to want to set him up was obtained illegally, wasn't it? Haven't we established it was surveillance, illegal unmasking, and raw intelligence on General Flynn, where he was set up because they had a transcript, and they tell him you don't need a lawyer. And this was the predicate for the whole, guilty plea after they bankrupted this poor man. This is not the United States of America. Just like the FISA abuse scandal, that is not the United States of America. This is not a constitutional republic if this is what they are up to, Gregg Jarrett.
You're right. And that invites the question, why did the FBI even interview Michael Flynn? He hadn't done anything wrong. And Comey and Yates and McCabe knew they had to have an excuse. Let's think one up. Let's conjure it. The Logan Act, which is,
1799. It has been used twice.
Yeah, nobody's ever been convicted. It's an unconstitutional law, which is why nobody's really ever been prosecuted or convicted. And so they dust off the Logan Act and say, well, Flynn talked to the Ambassador Kislyak, so that could be a Logan Act violation. Yeah, let's run with that. Yeah, that's a good one. And now it's been exposed. Of course, every transition has conversations with foreign leaders and diplomats. So they used it as a pretext to try to entrap Michael Flynn, and they did. I mean, this is how unprincipled Robert Mueller and his team of partisans are.
Well, we have other news on this, too. We now know the Justice Department, David Schoen, destroyed texts on Strzok and Page's iPhones after Mueller's office decided they weren't relevant. We have Christopher Steele saying that he was hired in court testimony to help Hillary Clinton challenge the 2016 election results and was meeting as early as this was a sealed August 2nd declaration in a defamation suit brought by Russian bankers in London, but this is what we've often referred to, but he was in contact with Hillary Clinton's people.
Yeah. Listen, it's one after another, but I want to talk for a second then about what you raised with the Strzok and Page cell phone scandal. This report from the IG is simply shocking, but not just about the DOJ. Look at what it tells us about Mueller and his team. Page, she supposedly was given an iPhone by the special counsel's office, dedicated for special counsel use. She claims when she left, she turned it in. They couldn't find the phone for 9 months. She left it on a shelf, she said. There aren't that many shelves in that office. They didn't find her phone for 9 months, and when they found it, everything had been erased. They cleaned both Strzok and Page's cell phones. Somebody at the special counsel's office claims that, they took a look at it, they didn't see anything they thought was relevant, so they scrubbed them. This is outrageous. These are the people in charge of investigations over stolen computers and missing emails.
All right, I got to leave it there. We'll have a lot more on Hannity tonight, 9 Eastern on Fox.